I look at Manchester United as a club that is too big to fail. It just really is. And I'm not saying that this is going to turn around immediately. There's some work they need to do now in the upcoming window. But I do think there's a possibility of turning that corner where at least you put away that crazy noise that's around the club on and off the pitch.
And when you look at their group, by the way, yeah, go ahead, Doug.
I mean, as Janusz said, United are too big to fail. I take his point. They are one of the biggest clubs in the world, but I think that approach is why they're in the situation they're in. There's too many people at the club who felt that in the past. Senior people that have felt, we're Man United, we're too big to fail, we'll spend a bit of money, we'll buy this player, we'll buy that player, we'll hire this manager, and it's not worked. So in many ways, their size and their wealth in terms of commercial revenue has held them back because they've just relied on that. They've become complacent and believe that we're Man United, we'll be fine. It's not fine because the big advantage of the Ferguson era 20 years ago, they had the best manager, the biggest stadium, and they had the biggest commercial revenue. Now, in the time since, all the clubs in the Barca's, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich have caught up. Manchester City, Tottenham, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea have also caught up in the Premier League. So United, they've all got now great stadiums that bring in much more money. They've got better managers. They've had commercial growth. So all the advantages that United had when they were too big to fail have gone. And now they are still a big club. But when they do fail, they feel it more because in the past, when United had a bad season in the early 2000s, there was only Chelsea and Arsenal that were competing. Now there's 4 or 5 teams that are competing. So a bad season at United now means they finish 6th or 7th. So they aren't too big to fail. They should be, but they're not. And I think the sooner the people at the club realise that is when they'll start coming back.
But I simply meant that there is that money, so you can have a couple of tries because other clubs that don't have those means, they maybe get a 1 goal or maybe 2, where United are going to continue to get that goal, as you said, if they do the right things in the near future.
Well, the right thing is to try and get out of this group, and right now, obviously, they want to get this win against Copenhagen because with Galatasaray playing Bayern Munich still twice, there's still a hope. Let's stay with Manchester United. Mark Ogden, you wrote a piece about our favorite, well, not sure if it's our favorite, but a striker nonetheless, Rasmus Hojlund. Why his lack of goals are not necessarily his problem. Where are you going with this one?
Yeah, I just think he's been let down with the lack of service that he's had. I mean, first of all, he arrived at the club with an injury, so he didn't start in terms of a full pre-season behind him. But I think one thing I've seen with Hojlund is he's a player that gives everything. His head hasn't gone down, you can see that he's desperate to score that goal, but he's not getting the service. He's got 2 inverted wingers that are playing with him right now who are both in terrible form. Anthony's out of form, no assists all season. Marcus Rashford, 1 goal, 1 assist all season. So the players that are most likely to feed him the ball are not giving him the ball. He's making good runs, he's getting behind defenders, but he's not getting chances. It's now 160 minutes since he had a chance in the Premier League. So that tells you the problem that you've got this kid who's got a lot of potential, he's not getting the ball. Now, Bruno Fernandes might be his best hope in terms of getting the ball to him, but obviously Fernandes is playing in a team that is struggling right now. So I feel for Hojlund. When he scored that goal against Galatasaray maybe a month or 2 ago, Paul Scholes said he reminded me of Ruud van Nistelrooy, the way he got the ball, turned in the centre circle, ran through the defence and scored. He does that about him that, I mean, it's a big billing to compare to Ruud van Nistelrooy, but still, he needs better service. So I think that the longer it goes on 8 games that go in the Premier League, it's beginning to eat away at him a little bit, and that people are mentioning it. It's not Diego Forlan level yet. It's not 9 months, but he needs a goal and he needs better service.
He's 20. He's 20, Janusz Michallik. Surely we got to wait a little bit.
I feel for him because they put him in such a bad spot, right? And not to mention that he's inexperienced and untested. I mean, small sample. I mean, well, I just sometimes wonder what were they thinking that he's going to do? I mean, he's 20 years old. In his senior career, he scored 9 goals for Sturm Graz and 9 goals for Atalanta. With Denmark, obviously he's got a pretty decent record there, so fair play. But I don't know what was expected of him. And in this time of turmoil, where there's been so many coaches, so many players have left. Not to mention the kind of, I'm not saying that he's under pressure of Cristiano Ronaldo leaving, but I mean, United have been used to having some of the greatest goal scorers in Europe, if not in the world. So I think from the beginning that was going to be difficult. I think he's coping fairly well with that. You see his work ethic. You see how much he wants it in terms of, every time he's taken off. He's been good. But I still think that, at the best of times at Manchester United, Hojlund should have been learning under, I don't know, Harry Kane or somebody like that, kind of getting experience and coming in maybe. But a lot of pressure, and I don't know where the expectations came in just because the numbers don't back that up. There are a lot of young players out there that are doing well and scoring goals as well. People are comparing him to Erling Haaland. He's young, but he was doing it in the Champions League and in the Bundesliga for Borussia Dortmund. So that is basically the difference.
Yeah, and obviously to Mark Ogden's point, the supply has not been there. Well, to that point, actually, and let me just return to Janusz and Ogi, you jump in on this. The supply is not there. Anthony, a top 10 transfer record in the Premier League, not doing anything. Obviously, inconsistency on both wings. The Garnacho sometimes is on, sometimes he's off. Pelistri comes on every 20 minutes, etc. Marcus Rashford is not having the season that he had. What do they need to do in January? What do you expect, at least? Do they need to really be aggressive in January, specifically in those positions, in order for them to get more productivity out of their strikers? What do you think?
I'm going to go because I truly believe in that. But Mark maybe can tell us what we're hearing there. He's close to the club, but I really think they have to make a decision quietly about Ten Hag. They have to make a decision if he's good enough. I mean, look, I'm not here to say that he's got to go. I think we were praising him last season for obvious reasons, and rightfully so. But I mean, this has been the worst run since Sir Alex has left, I think. If you look at all competitions for Manchester United right now, and obviously you're not going to change the whole team, but the philosophy is that I'm just waiting for him to show me that he's capable to manage within and outside the team, because I'm starting to wonder a little bit. The promises were one thing, right? I mean, we expected maybe an attacking football, a pressing football, and all of that, but I almost wonder, seeing what I see right now, is Ten Hag capable to say, wait a second, hang on here. The way I have this team with all the injuries and everything, would we not be better to be a very good counter-attacking team unless we get all the pieces together here? Because I think because we're talking about Manchester United historically and what Ten Hag, I think, promised, we're looking at a team that was going to press, was going to possess the ball, like maybe some of the old United teams. Well, none of that is happening. I don't think they're capable of doing that, really, looking at the players that they have. But I think on a counter, good, solid defense, maybe when Luke Shaw returns and Varane gets back healthy, I can see that. So, but the biggest thing is, because quietly, I think we're all wondering, Mark, maybe you can tell us what's happening inside the club, but they better be thinking to say, look, we're at a place where we thought we were not going to return to based on last season. Here we are again. They need to make a decision. Is Ten Hag the man to go forward?
Do you know something? It's a valid point, and I made the point after the City game that that he's been given a lot of cover this year by the Glazers, by the situation at the club, that Ten Hag is a problem the club don't want to deal with, because they've got so much going on upstairs in terms of the Glazers are kind of squabbling between themselves as to whether to sell the club or whether to keep the club or have an investment. And they got the senior people at the club are worried about their futures, they're worried about their jobs. They don't want to be thinking about the football. So the fact that they beat Fulham at the weekend, it's for them, it's like, oh, we can take a sigh of relief and let's focus on something else. But you're right. I mean, the results have been way down where United need to be. I mean, they are still in touch in the league, the top four race, strangely, but they're not playing well. You look at United every time they play, you have to wonder what they're doing. You look, strange decisions like playing Victor Lindelof at left back in the derby against City, when they've got a left back on the bench who's a left back and Lindelof's a right-footed centre half. So there's a lot of confusion there, but I don't think they'll get rid of Ten Hag unless it gets really bad. I think that he is a problem that's way down the list right now, because they've got other things to deal with. In terms of bringing people in January, nothing's going to happen there unless they bring some money in. Now, Jadon Sancho is the obvious one that they want out, but I mean, how much are you going to get for Jadon Sancho? They paid £72 million for him. He's not in the team. He's being basically cast into the wilderness. But clubs know that. Buying clubs know that they're not going to suddenly give United £50 million for Jadon Sancho, because they know that in football speak, he's damaged goods. The club don't want him. They want rid of him, so it's going to hit his value. So they obviously need, they need reinforcements in every area. They need a second striker, really, or a first striker to play with Hojlund. They need a better winger. But unless they bring some money in, they've got no headroom to bring anybody in, because FFP is still an issue. They overspent last year. They didn't bring enough money commercially, not enough prize money. So United have got a problem in January because they haven't got the headroom or the bandwidth to bring people in unless they get people out of the door.
And getting rid of Erik ten Hag is going to cost money as well, if they wanted to ever do that.